Do you constantly struggle getting up and down around the greens? Maybe you're consistently missing your landing zone. The ball's rolling out too much, not enough. Well, I'm here today to tell you that you may be missing out on the shot that's going to help you improve the most, and that's the bump and run. My name's Sam Vosler, lead golf instructor for the Sanford POWER Golf Academy, and with my good friends at USGolfTV. And today we're going to talk about the bump and run, when to use it, why it's an effective shot, and the technique and the motion that you need to produce this golf shot. So the first thing we're going to discuss is when to use the bump and run and to define it. So bump and run basically is what it sounds like, okay? We're going to bump the ball and we want it to roll. So a couple things that need to be in place. Again, you can hit all sorts of different golf shots, but one of the biggest challenges right now with the golf industry is usually people have about 3 to 4 different wedges, and we have different lofts. Well, back in the day, constantly we had people using one club, okay? And that one club, again, provided some opportunity to be a little bit unique with their shots, okay? So one thing that we need to make sure that when we're using this shot, it has to be the proper setup. So as you can see, when we're looking down here, we got a lot of green to work with. It's gradually uphill. So again, when that ball gets down on the ground, it's going to be able to kind of be controlled. So the more we can get the ball on the ground, the better. So a lot of times what I see is when somebody has a lob wedge, maybe a 60-degree 56, in this position, they're trying to throw the ball up into the air. Again, you can hit some really good shots, but if I took 10 shots, I guarantee that you can be more consistent if you work on this golf shot. So that's one thing. Again, if the greens are fast, that's another thing, or you're downhill, you may choose to use this method, but a little bit different golf club. So I got a pitching wedge here. Again, there's different ways to hit a bump and run. It's more about the technique, okay? So I have a pitching wedge. You can do this with a 52, you can do this with an 8-iron, but today this is the club we're gonna use, okay? So loft is really important to understand with this golf shot. So if we want the ball to roll really low to the ground, we need to control the loft. So a couple things to understand first with loft. Okay, if I'm standing here at address, okay, holding it normally where I would with a full swing, I can add or reduce loft by doing a couple things, okay? I can move my hands forward, okay, which is gonna turn and reduce the loft of this pitching wedge. So now instead of a 46, it's probably gonna be about a 40, okay? I could actually put my hands back, which is gonna add loft to the club, which will probably make it a 54, okay? So that's one way to add loft. Another way to add loft is just by the positions of my hand. So if I lower my club, that's actually, as you can see, it's actually opening up the face and it's going to add loft. So a way I can actually reduce loft is I can upright this shaft and get a little bit closer to it. So as you can see from the camera, I want you to see that it's actually kind of up on the toe. Okay, and that's what we want for this golf shot relatively, okay? So think more upright, closer to the ball, toe is up, the heel's off the ground. Okay, so loft is really important to understand with this. Okay, so when you actually hit this golf shot, a couple of the keys to the setup. The setup is key outside of the motion. Okay, one thing what we're gonna do is we're gonna have a real narrow base. Okay, feet together. Okay, we're gonna stand this club upright and we're gonna get closer to it. Okay, the other thing that we're gonna do, the second thing, is I want you to feel like your pressure is slightly on your left side. So again, think of a weight scale, okay? Both weight scales on your right and left foot. I'd like for us to feel like right now we're distributed between 50-50. I want to push down on that weight scale just slightly so it goes up maybe 4 or 5 pounds, okay? So when we do that, again, we're not heavy on our left side, but we have a little bit of pressure there, and we're gonna stay there through this entire motion, all right? We don't need to hit this ball far. We're probably traveling 10 yards, so we're gonna have a really simple motion. So after you get your pressure left, the last thing I want you to do with your setup is I want your head, again, I want your nose and your lead eye to be slightly in front of the ball, okay? This is gonna ensure you make great contact with the ball and then the turf, okay? So with the actual motion of this, you're gonna feel similar to maybe a putting motion. So with the putting motion, again, we know there's not a lot of wrist. That's sometimes a misconception when we hit chip shots that we need to add some wrist. We're trying to hit this ball low and control it. So again, we're gonna feel more of a putting motion back and through, okay? And that's all in the shoulders. It's a little bit of shoulders, so that little bit of shoulders back, and then we're just gonna kind of pop the ball, okay? Little short stroke, okay? Again, upright. We're gonna put a little pressure left, nose in front of the ball, and we're gonna pop the ball, putting motion. So I put that ball to maybe about 7 feet, okay? So let's see if we can do one a little bit better here, okay? So again, is that shot any better than maybe a high shot. Depending on how many times I do it, that's gonna make the difference, okay? So I put my feet together, again, feet together, pressure left, up right, up on the toe. I'm gonna bump and run it, get that ball going on the ground. So again, the next time you're out and you're trying to get up and down, think about what club you're using, think about the green that you have, and consider the bump and run. It's gonna be a more consistent shot. You're gonna get up and down and have a lot more fun and make more pars.